This is Midshipman Wallace, second class here on the Maersk, Ohio. For the seamanship section of this video, I'm including the Maersk, Ohio anchoring outside of Norfolk here. The boatswain Senio, chief mate Ben Choi, and I first started by engaging the clutch, flipping up the riding pawl, and undoing the turnbuckle, also removing the chain which secures the anchor. I could not get a video of this as I was helping in the process. However, the following pictures show the aftermath of this process. The boatswain can then be seen here lowering the anchor down to the water's edge, which was commanded by the bridge, while we wait to drop it. Now we will wait for the bridge owners to drop the anchor. We then engage the brake fully and disengage the clutch as pictured. Once the bridge gave us the orders, we were able to drop the anchor 3 shots by disengaging the brake and letting it free fall. Now we dropped it in 3 different increments as this was a free fall and we didn't want it to become out of control as we were dropping the anchor, because letting it free fall for 3 straight shots is not safe. So we would drop 1 shot, then engage the brake, and then drop the other until we got to 3 total shots. At 3 shots, we then engage the brake, engage the clutch, and then again disengage the brake and walk down the anchor the rest of the way. Here you can see the clutch being engaged by chief mate and us walking down the anchor. 3 more shots to a total of 6 shots. This is of course just using the clutch and the windlass as well, because the brake has been fully disengaged and we're walking it down at a more controlled speed.
Here's the anchor slowly being walked down here.
You see there, that's the marking of the 5th shot out of the 6 total that we were going to drop. Here's the riding pawl being dropped down. So at this point, we waited for the anchor to settle and fully engaged the brake while disengaging the clutch. And as you saw, the chief mate lowered the riding pawl back down on top of the chain. The last couple of videos I took of the 6-shot mark shows the rebounding of the ship as the strain goes from extremely high and then the ship slowly bounces back forward to where it will eventually rest. So a very unique thing that we do here on the Maersk, Ohio is our captain actually is building an 8-foot long boat. This is his 3rd one. I happen to have done a bunch of fiberglass work in my life, so I've been helping with it. And it's over here in the aft steering room.
It's actually great for displaying different ship construction stability as it is building a ship. Here is use a carbon fiber rail and string it out onto the strash bags and then cut both the steer shrake here the entire length down, and then the stringer shrake right here the entire length down as well. We did this for both sides, mixed it with different rest system. This is the partner and then also the resin here. And applied these down. Following that, we cut the entire top length here and then cut a piece of a very stem to harden the stem up. And then once we cut the top piece, we went all the way back, cut a transom piece out here, and then cut 3 different pieces of the tunnel. So we got 1 here and then the 2 sides of the tunnel as well. And once that was done, we laid it on this divinisome core and completely resin the core, resin the glass, shaped it, and cut it all to spec. So now you have your shear, your stringer, shear, stringer. This part was this chine right here. Carbon fiber doesn't like doing it on curves very well. As you can see, there's a tiny little bit of lamination right there where it's kind of along the chine. But we did get it on, we pressed it up, cut the top piece to the very top of the hole along the chine all the way back over the frame. And then the divinisome marks you can see here, where we just connected different boards of divinisome all the way up to allow it to have this curvature. You can see here from the stem of the ship. Now flipped over the boat here, and you can see each panel of the divinisome running down longitudinally down the boat. Shear shrink, stringer shrink, and there's the hole right there. You go all the way down to the transom. You can start to see the workings of the tunnel coming up here. And you can see in each piece of the divinisome, it's actually just glued together with Gorilla Glue here. We got a lot of work done. This is supposed to be finished by our next port of call, which is Norfolk, runs across the Atlantic. But once we flipped it over, you can actually see pretty well here. We cut out the strakes, which ran all the way forward here. Out of the stem. Then we cut out a separate piece here for the here. You see the Sharpie marks that we placed just to make sure we're placing it down right. So once this large second layer was placed, it went on top of the chine right here. We then put a fourth layer over the tunnel here. See this layer? Also the Sharpie marks marking where it should be. So this tunnel here has 4 separate layers on it currently. And then the chine itself is overlapped 3 times. This chine that runs all the way up here is overlapped 3 separate times. Yesterday, we just put this bulkhead in, which is made by Kusaw board, which is this black board. So we cut it out to shape using the hole specs, which is a piece of diviso over there. Cut it out to shape, then we cut the middle section in it just like that. And then we ended up keeping it up on the inside here, just white stuff, and putting 1 layer of glass which overlaps it right here. See that it's there? And what this bulkhead's supposed to do is act as a stiffener, especially now it's in the bow, it acts as a stiffener, so there's less bending moments like where the 2 strings trying to touch each other. Now when we laid the stringer shrake and shear shrake, we just overlap the piece of glass on top, just like this, and that's what's creating our gunnel on all the way down the vessel here. So you can see how these 2 overlap, and then we just took a sawzall and cut the ends off, and then the captain came back and sanded them earlier this morning. The deck just went on today in 2 8-foot long strips, separately 2 strips. It's going to put 2 layers on here eventually, but we just laid it on top of a frame, which is wooden frame. Then on top of this wooden frame here, laid glass straight on top of the frame, cut it to size, then we laid it up wet. As you can see, there's buckets there for weight that are just holding this down.
So when I first learned about the stability section of this video here on the Maersk Ohio, I was thinking to myself, what's the best way to demonstrate stability and seamanship on board? I think that is just to do a reefer round, which is going around checking all the refrigerated containers on board. It's something that the chief mate will have me do usually every morning. We'll check high value and then all the other containers that are reefer containers on board as well, just for greens. So to start, we go on deck here. We're on bay 42. Then go over. See this container right here? It's not a high value container. All we have to do is just check for greens. It means this green in range light is on here. So that means that the container is in range of what temperature it should be. Next, we're going to check the containers below decks. We just open this cargo hold. I'm going to ensure to put the chain up once I go down, so no one can fall down the cargo hold. Just climb down the cargo hold here. As you can see, you already start to see the longitudinal frames running down the cargo hold. When you go down this ladder rail, you start checking for the reefer containers down here. And right now we're on the tier 12 level. So typically there's no reefer containers on tier 12. Walking down to tier 10 now. You see we start to have some reefer containers. Go around and check the greens here. Reefer containers each will plug into these different circuit boards, which is 220 volt on our ship. Here's one of them. This is on the 04 level, which we currently do not have any reefers plugged into. So it's good to show that it's just a plug in and then twist. And that is what keeps the reefers powered while we're under. Now we reach the tier 02 level, which is right above the tank top, as you can see here. Now, tier 2, we don't keep any reefer containers. However, there is some stability elements, which I found very interesting here on the Maersk Ohio. We are currently between 2 cargo holds. You see? If you look at the base of this container, this is a tank container, there's actually a flat rack here. Now, these aren't carried on flat racks. There's one on the other side as well. So scattered around the Maersk Ohio, there is 72 different flat rack containers. These containers help improve the GM as well as also giving it more structural integrity, which is why they're placed down here. So when viewing these flat rack containers, which are just Maersk branded flat rack right here, as well as the other side, we can also see these longitudinals, which run throughout the ship, as this is a longitudinally framed ship, and the frames, which go along here. If we walk forward, we can, backwards, we can enter bay 46 here. This gives you a better display of the transverse bulkheads which run along the ship, which also helps stiffen it up, similar to the job that the flat racks do.
Now that we're back into bay 42 and in the ladder well, you can see the front of the flat racks here. Again, there's 72 of these. And a good tie into the cargo project are these twist locks, which are on the tank top here right now. Longshoremen will commonly just leave them on top of the tank top down here because they don't want to lift them back up. But these twist locks link the two containers together and help secure them.
I'm currently in hold 5 aft here, and as we can see in hold 5 aft, we have out of gauge cargo, also known as OOG cargo.
This cargo is all on flat racks right now. Apologize for the noise, we're at sea. It's all on flat racks right now, as it is out of gauge. So you can see here, out of gauge because it sticks out past the normal dimensions of what a container would. Now these are 40 footers, so it'd be 40 by 8.5. And so this sticks out past the regular 8. And then down here, as you can see, there's more out of gauge cargo. See here, it sticks out past the flat rack. Due to the fact that it's sticking out past the flat rack, that's how we know that it's out of gauge. Now these out of gauge containers typically get stored together. So you can see here, there's another one. There's a total of 4 out of gauge here. And then up on top of this regular container, 40-foot container, there's another.